This is KLEAN Radio.
Welcome everybody out there listening to KLEAN Radio, and pretty much congratulations to all our fans in the Pacific Northwest tonight.
Yeah, I guess if you're a Seattle fan, you're pretty happy right now.
And which is a lot, you know, we're on all over the Pacific Northwest, Portland, Seattle, Washington State, and I'd say congratulations.
And for those listening to us in Denver, well, sorry.
Yeah, we do have some fans in Colorado. And one guy actually owns a gun shop. His business will probably be up tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
And let's welcome everybody out there. And we are a show about addiction and recovery and everything in the middle. My co-host with the most is the great Andrew Spanswick.
Yeah, except for my cold. That's the
you're a trooper.
Part. I know.
And you have been in the industry for a really long time helping people. And like I said, we're a show about addiction and recovery. And, you know, obviously there's really sad news today. You know, the amazing actor, Oscar-winning actor, Philip Seymour Hoffman was found in his apartment with a needle. He was sober for about 23 years, and he relapsed, and he's been struggling since. And, you know, sadly, he died.
That's another tragedy, and certainly shocking, I think. And, he's got a lot of fans and a lot of generations, so it's going to be interesting to see what the fallout's going to be. But, yeah, horrible news.
And I think it's really hard. There's no closure, you know, and I hate that word, but it's just that's it. You know, and we talk about this a lot because, you know, with heroin and people that shoot up and all that jazz, it could be done that's it.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that's shooting up is, I've often said this on the show, that if you're shooting up, you're somewhat suicidal. And, obviously he'd just been back in rehab, and, I don't really know specifically what kind of emotional problems he was having, but clearly they were significant to go back to using after all those years. And, he was playing with right on the line there, and he obviously shot up too much. So, it's easy to do these days. People aren't as well, versed in. We're talking about this in the green room, and how back in the '60s and '70s, people were trained a little bit better by fellow junkies how to use, and nowadays it seems like we're getting more and more overdoses because the drug culture is different.
I think also when you relapse, you isolate. You know, you have a tremendous amount of shame and isolation. And when you were younger,
especially in a case like Philip Seymour Hoffman,
right.
I think in heroin culture before was very sort of group dynamic. There was like a group of junkies you used to hang out with, and AIDS actually affected a lot of that, and Hep C, because people stopped sharing needles all the time. But sharing a needle used to be a big part of the culture of heroin addiction, and we don't see that anymore. We see people isolating, and therefore, if they overdose, there's no one around. And so it's become much more of a problem. Not to say that it wasn't a problem before, because it certainly was. But, this is just another tragedy of, heroin coming back big and being used culturally in a way that is much more dangerous than it ever has been.
Yeah, there was a report the other day that heroin deaths in America was up last year. I think it doubled, some crazy statistic that happened last year. But the point is, if you're out there and you're struggling, we often talk about this on the show, that there's a lot of shame, Andrew, based in relapse. And a lot of times people have a hard time getting sober again because of that shame, because of that guilt, because of so much. So if you're struggling, no matter what you're struggling with, if you're alive right now, there's a chance. And, anything we could do to help you, we'll do to help you. But you don't have to continue down that path. Yeah,
and it's not just about the drugs. Yeah. I mean, whatever other components are going on in your life, or problems or issues that might be making you feel like you have to use to get away from those issues, there's a way for us to help those issues so you don't have to use. And I think that, you don't have to get to a point of crisis to then get help. There's ways to get help earlier and not get to the point where you're risking your life.
So give us a call. The number is 888. I don't have the number in front of me, Andrew. The number is 800. Well, I'm going to welcome.
I'll do it. It's 888-222-5222.
That's 888.
That's really
5222.
There you go.
It's a good number.
And if you hear that voice in the background, it's the welcome back to KLEAN Radio, one of the everybody knows her and everybody wants to be her.
I don't know about that.
This star of the of a lot of stuff. Let's welcome back to Clean Radio, Mackenzie Phillips.
Hey guys.
Wow, what introduction! Star of a lot of stuff.
Star of a lot of things, and everybody wants to be her.
When you do something, you do it big. You get arrested. You get arrested big.
I write a book. I write it big.
Yeah,
right?
It's there's nothing. And it's really bizarre because I know you hear this all the time, and I wanted to ask you for permission before I did it, but I couldn't.
It's too late. So
yeah.
go ahead and say it.
Before last show, I couldn't. I didn't realize that I didn't do it. I didn't say Mackenzie Phillips talks. What it's like to be. What it's like to do it one day at a time.
Right. Oh, that's right. We did talk about this.
And I couldn't believe I didn't do that. But
I can't tell you how many people come up to me and say, "Have you ever thought about the irony of the name of the show?" And I'm like, yeah, I have thought of that. It's been 35 years. I kind of figured that out. Pardon me. I'll be good. I promise.
Our engineer didn't even have his hand on the dump button.
We got you.
I didn't even finish the word.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you were on this, you see, obviously you did, but you've been getting calls all day. You've been getting calls all day for two reasons. You were sharing, obviously, one's about because you have two sides to your story. You have the abuse, the sexual abuse, and you have the addiction.
I do.
So two of the biggest stories trending today, sadly, are Philip Seymour Hoffman dying, and you have Dylan. I got the D right. Dylan Farrow. Yeah. And so you've been getting calls all day with people asking you to come on and talk about this stuff.
I have. Yeah.
Is it bizarre? I mean, because you didn't know these people, but yet people want you to comment on them.
I didn't know these people. I don't know Dylan Farrow, and I didn't know Philip Seymour Hoffman. But the interesting thing is that they're me and I'm them.
Yeah.
There's no separation. I went through sexual abuse as a young person, and I woke up with a needle in my arm. The difference is that I woke up.
Yeah.
I work at Pasadena Recovery Center, and I do groups with 50 clients at a time, and I say to them, look, I love you. And I can say that because I love myself, because you're me and I'm you. And the only difference between us is that I'm sitting in this single chair over here, and you guys are in treatment. I was there where you are. And so I think it is weird to be asked to comment on people I didn't know, but it's so hard for people who don't know about addiction or don't understand the mental fallout of sexual abuse. It's so hard for normal people, normies, whatever you want to call it, to understand how that can affect a person, or how a person can get to the point where they just do a little too much dope and never wake up again. And so we, have an experience with that kind of stuff. And so they're trying to, figure it out. And so of course they call people who...
Well, it's amazing how much shame, anger, denial there is with sexual abuse.
Yeah,
it's just nobody wants to accept it, and nobody wants to believe anybody, and everybody wants to pretend like it doesn't exist.
I don't care if, you were sexually abused by a famous person like I was and Dylan was, or, it's happened. People don't really understand the high incidence of this.
Because I think people also like to look at the devil as the devil did it. And
I have a really, really close friend who's famous. I'm not going to mention his name on the air, but he tells me that he can walk into a room and he can tell you who's been sexually abused and who hasn't.
Wow.
It's like there's just something about their presence, and that that they're attracted to him, and because they've experienced things that other people haven't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true to some degree with alcoholism too, and other drug addiction. You kind of walk in the room, and you kind of know whether somebody's had a problem or not, even if it's in the past.
Well, certainly back in the day, you would walk in a room and know who you could score from.
Yeah, right.
So why wouldn't you walk in the room and know, who your brother in sobriety or sister in sobriety is?
But I really do believe that, though. It's like we see Woody Allen, obviously, with Polanski, and talk about Philip Seymour Hoffman. There's this, I don't want, that's a bad way. I'm not putting him in the same sentence, but with Woody Allen, with the sexual abuse, you look at this guy and you don't want to believe it. You don't. It's so much easier to believe the bum on the street. The guy that you perceive as crazy, not the guy that we perceive with this amazing amount of talent. Yeah. Right, the genius.
I have to say that I've been thinking about this a lot when I read Dylan's open letter to the New York Times, and when I was watching on the Golden Globes when they did that whole bow down to Woody Allen, the comic genius. Man, it's just there was a different time. And I know people whose name I can't mention who were sexually abused by their very famous fathers too,
Right.
aside from Dylan Farrow, who I don't know. And you know, it kind of speaks to this. You get these men who become so famous and so revered for either their songwriting abilities, or like my father, or their abilities to arrange harmonies or write hilarious movies, or this incredible social commentary that turns into a blockbuster film. The megalomania kind of steps in, and the belief that the rules don't apply to them, that they are the ruler of all they see.
we see it with priests, right? It's
Yeah,
the same
we
kind
treat
of thing,
a lot
you know?
of clergy at PRC too.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, and it's a cycle. I mean, and that's the thing, you know, like my friend who was sexually abused, he was introduced to it early, and then he saw that he had a propensity to do it to other people, and that's what kind of freaked him out.
Wow.
You know, he actually had insight into it and saying, wow, just because my cousins and everything did this to me, you know, doesn't mean that I should do it to my cousins.
Right.
Yeah.
And so much of it is ancestral and in the family and connected to this cycle of abuse.
cycle of abuse.
And if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. We're in the studio tonight with, you know her from so many things, LAX arrests. No,
Yeah, there's
but
that.
also one of the greatest shows of all time, I could say, is One Day at a Time, McKenzie Phillips. So give us a call. The number is 800-888-55. You know my numbers.
Yeah, wow.
I'm a little out of it.
888-222-5222.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you, guys. It's 888-222-5222.
I'm the one that has the cold. I don't understand.
Well, you know, I have a different form of a cold. So give us a
You
call.
got the cold shoulder.
You just listened to Clean Radio. Let's go to Amy. Wanted to check in from Vancouver, Washington. Let's go to Amy. Amy, welcome back as always.
Hey, it's 800-222-5222.
I thought it was
Nice.
800. I thought it was 800. Yeah.
Oh, you said 888.
Someone's going.
It's on the sheet here as 888.
Amy's going for Judah's job.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have the sheet in front of
Yeah.
her.
I just wanted to say that I won't you to death. I kind of went back on some of the episodes, and I said a lot, so I just wanted to tell you that I won't.
That's a
I won't
natural
tell you
thing to
death.
do. Don't worry about it.
But I wanted to say that 3 years ago, I obviously left a domestic violence marriage, and I was in a shelter for quite a while. And we were invited to go to an event that was sponsored by a local organization for women that were in a shelter that had been victims of domestic violence along with their kids. And today I was asked by some of the people that were in that organization to share my story. I was actually a part of it last year, being on the flip side of it all. You know, I was at that event when I was at rock bottom and was the recipient of all of their blessings that they gave us. And then last year I was able to be a part of it and listen to the horror stories of other women that pretty much mimicked mine a year prior. And so this year they've asked me to actually speak and tell my story. So I just thought I'd share that you know, things are moving forward. And Judah, I got your email, so.
Okay, well, so just so we preface this, I offered dating advice a couple weeks ago, which I should not be doing, on Clean Radio. And just so you know, Mackenzie, so one of the things we joke about is, you know, when you take a girl out to dinner, first date, always go, you know, less.
No, wait. Well, not we. This is what Judah suggests.
It's always go cheap, or is that way you have a way to work up?
Right.
You know,
No, but he goes really cheap.
You know, go Johnny
He goes like-
Rockets.
No, he goes cheaper than that.
Andrew's killing me.
Poquito más.
But anyways, you get the point. And so a couple weeks back when I was talking about this, Amy was one of the callers that had agreed with us and with me, and Todd, our caller from the institution where One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was shot.
Oh, my.
So last week I jokingly said, you know, the only two people that agreed with me were one that's in an institution and one that's Amy. So, Amy, I'd like to apologize about that. And I think it was Andrew actually that said it. But
Oh, wow.
And
It's called projection.
yeah, it is. But
Judah broke the cookie jar.
But here's the thing, Amy. You know, one of the things what we love about the show, and is that we laugh about stuff and we talk about stuff that's sometimes so morbid. You know, we have Mackenzie in here who's sober, who jokes and laughs about the situations, you know, that she's gone through, and Andrew the same, and me the same way. And that's sometimes the way of getting to hope, is by laughing at this stuff. And I don't think, Amy, you know, you're obviously a great woman that's gone through so much, and you deserve a lot more than a McCafe. But you know, it's always good to start with a coffee.
I guess it's a figure. It was just kind of a figure of speech. You know, I think it's like I had mentioned, that it's the time, the quality time that you spend with that person that matters. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Yes, we're in LA based, so good luck with that. No, but you're right, Amy. You're completely right. And you had a date. How'd that go?
Great. In fact, he's supposed to be. He was here Friday, and then he's coming back Wednesday for lunch. So
that's great. Make sure it's more than a McCafe, Amy.
Actually, I cooked.
Oh,
he told me.
Oh, wow.
So.
Very romantic.
Wow.
So let us know next week how it goes.
I've had 3 wives. I've never got anybody cook for me.
Amy, thanks for calling, and we love you on the show. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 And if you just tuned in, you are listening to KLEAN Radio. That was Amy calling from Washington. And it's great, Mackenzie. You know, we're with McKenzie Phillips. It's great that I love that people call in and tell us how they're doing that. This is such a long process. You know, Andrew sometimes talks about, right, from when it first starts to when you finally get sober, sometimes it could be 7 years.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, even before you even call to get help. Yeah.
Right. And just the sobriety, using, it's about processes. It's about the process of healing and getting better. And I love that, you know, we have these calls of people that check in, and we could see the process. We could see the process of, you know, calling in for a couple of years. Showing
I mean, the first time Amy called in, she was, you know, she didn't even really recognize the severity of the relationship that she was in and the abuse that she was going through. And she had some great insight, and it's just really inspiring to hear that now that she's going out helping other people get that same insight. And it's amazing you can really, you know, be in something and not recognize it. You can recognize it in everybody else, but you can't see it. And it just amazes me to this day. Yeah, right.
When you're in it, it's very difficult to see the complete horrific dysfunction.
Well, I also think like we're sort of set up, right? We're sort of set up to sort of think that our life is normal no matter what, and this is the way it's supposed to be, and so you don't ever compare it to something dysfunctional.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're always trying to rationalize it. Oh, this is normal.
This is just what it is. Yeah.
It's weird.
And let's get to another call. We got Christy calling from somewhere. Welcome to KLEAN Radio, Christy.
Hi. Calling from Long Beach.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, it's really random. This is the first time I've actually listened to your show, so thank you for having me on.
First time listener.
Thanks. Yeah, I was driving home from work, and I was actually trying to listen, see if I could hear what was going on with the Super Bowl, and so I turned
Seattle's
on
winning.
Yeah, Seattle's killing.
I've heard, but you know, just hearing what you're talking about, hearing about Philip Seymour Hoffman today, which made me really sad because I'm an actor, and I was hoping maybe to be in something with him someday. So that's really sad.
Yeah.
And hearing that you talk about the sexual abuse, about what happened with Miss Farrow, and see, my mom actually was sexually abused growing up, and she never shared that with us, which I understand, but she ended up dying, not of an overdose. I think I told the person on the phone it was an overdose. She actually died of an infection that she got from using heroin.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's actually more common than people realize, that drugs don't necessarily directly kill you. They can indirectly kill you from different types of meningitis and other types
endocarditis,
Hep C. Yeah. I mean, there's the secondary effects of using drugs in unsterile conditions, and you know, you buy these drugs, you don't know what's in them. There's all sorts of stuff in there.
You know, it's very interesting you say that. And the other day I was talking to somebody, you know, and all, you know, what's amazing about addiction? All you know, best laid plans go out the window when you're high. And people don't realize this sometimes. You could have every intention of using a clean needle,
but the other thing, you know, it's like just getting well enough to use. That's like, you know, when people are really sort of end stage using and they're about ready to like either die from it or get help, and it's their last chance. You know, a lot of those rules go out the window, and they may be sick with something and not even notice it or want to deal with it because all they're concerned about is making sure they stay well enough from using the drug, especially heroin. So things like, you know, meningitis, hep C, pneumonia, all these other illnesses that actually kill people secondarily to use, you know, they tend to get overlooked because of the need just to use.
And quite often when you're using like that and you are end stage, your mind will tell you that you're dying from 5,000 different things.
Right.
When in fact, you know, it's like, oh, I'm sure I have colon cancer, or I'm sure that, you know, this is happening and that's happening, when in fact, it's what you're saying.
Yeah, and also, you know, I mean, that's one of the things people say, you know, oh, you know, I can do drugs and it's okay, I'm only doing them during the weekend. And, you know, anytime you do something that's that invasive and that strong, it's going to have an effect on your body. I mean, casual use of cocaine even has a dramatic effect on the body.
Scar tissue.
You know, especially in the lungs, in the throat, and it causes all sorts of problems. So, you know, these things just, there's no safe way necessarily to do heroin or cocaine.
Christy, but how have you dealt with it? Have you gone to Al-Anon or?
I haven't gone to anything like that. And for me, it was a really big blow because not only I didn't know my mom. I did know my mom was doing heroin, but it wasn't until a couple years before she had died. And the sad thing was she was getting help. She was going to counseling. She was going to she was on the methadone thing. And what the doctor said was that this could have been something underneath the skin. It was an MRSA, the antibiotic resistant staph infection, and this could have been something that had been festering for a while that she didn't know about. And so,
well, these antibiotic resistant bacteria like MRSA, like you're mentioning, they're becoming more and more prevalent. And we don't have antibiotics anymore that can cure a lot of these infections. And we're seeing them spread. What's even scarier is we're starting to find that there's actually bacteria that affects cell membranes that allows viruses in and allows them to transmit more quickly and through out of body areas like water. So we're getting bacteria breeding in non-sterile areas, and we can't get these bacteria out of a lot of the hospitals. They're actually having to shut down whole wings of hospitals, and then 2-3 years later it will show up again, and just because it's impossible to get rid of. And you know, we've overused antibiotics for so long without being able to really make new ones, and that's largely because pharmaceutical companies don't make a lot of money on a antibiotic, because when it works, then they sell it, and it's very short life that they can sell it for very little money, and it costs $1 billion, so over $1 billion to develop a new antibiotic.
Wow.
Well, wait, Chrissy, how are you doing with everything?
Well, just hearing all this stuff like about the sexual abuse, my main thing that's really hard for me to still think about when I think about all of this is that the shame that she must have felt from everything that happened to her growing up, that she wouldn't share it with us, and she wouldn't even admit to me that she had any sort of depression or anything. Like, I found her old bottles of, tranquilizers and antidepressants, and she told me that it was because she had headaches, and she wouldn't talk about it. And it just makes me so sad when I hear, especially what happened with Miss Farrow, where everybody was just ignoring her, didn't want to think that about him. And unfortunately, that's what happened with my mom. Like, no one wants
Chrissy, can you hold on for a couple seconds? We're going to take a break. We'll get right back to you after the break. If you just tuned in, you are listening to KLEAN Radio. We'll be back in a couple seconds. The discussion continues at KLEAN Radio.
Are you or someone you care about addicted to drugs or alcohol? Addiction ruins lives and destroys families. Bring an end to the pain and suffering by calling KLEAN Treatment Centers. KLEAN has helped people from around the world break free by not only treating the addiction, but the underlying causes and providing vital aftercare so people can get clean and stay clean with no gimmicks and no false promises. If you need immediate assistance or just have questions, call KLEAN Treatment Centers for guidance. A much better life awaits. Now back to Andrew Spanswick and Judah Friedman.
Welcome back to KLEAN Radio. We're in the studio tonight with McKenzie Phillips, star of, like I said,
a lot of things.
But star of your own life right now because you're sober.
Exactly.
And, that's actually a question I want to ask you. It's like you've had such tremendous successes, but you weren't sober for a lot of it.
I wasn't sober for a lot of it. And it's so weird. I'm 54 years old, and I'm not as successful as I was, when I was a teenager. But my life is so beautiful, and the next indicated thing to do is so clear to me. And, it's really cool to be well.
Yeah, and you must enjoy it a lot more. It's like, even though you have different successes in life. Now, one of your successes is raising your son.
Exactly. He's going to be 27 tomorrow.
Right. Happy birthday, Shane.
Shane, the darter.
Yeah, Shane, the dart,
the dart-throwing guitar player.
But that's got to be an amazing success because you're raising a kid.
Yeah, I completely can understand what Christy was saying before the break.
And let's get back to Christy.
Yeah.
Is it Christy or Chrissy?
Christy.
Christy.
About, being a parent and having addiction and having sexual abuse in your past and having depression and all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult to reveal yourself to your children because you're the parent.
Right.
And you want to be well and you want to be strong for your kids. So I can understand how difficult it is to find out after the fact what your mom was going through, Christy.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And
sorry.
No, I was just going to say the biggest thing, Christy, is also taking, how long ago did this happen?
It's been a while now. She passed away New Year's Eve in 2004.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
It feels like, a couple years ago, a year ago.
Yeah. So, and one of the reasons, listen, I don't know what you do to take care of yourself. Acting is obviously a great release for stress, for so many of those things, but it also does help to go to support groups. And sometimes, it's horrible when these things happen on New Year's
Yeah, because then every time it comes around,
right.
You're re-stimulated by
I hate the holidays.
Yeah, I can't. I mean,
that's why I always get divorced on like a non-specific day.
That's
great.
Every time, huh?
Every time. It's funny, Christy. So listen, Christy, try to go and get some help because there are grieving groups or whatever you have to go through. To get it out, you should get it out. Mm-hmm. And because just like your mom sat with those secrets, you shouldn't have to sit with. Maybe the blessing she gave to you is that you don't have to deal with these things.
Yeah.
Alone.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Just my main thing, and I need to talk to somebody about it, but if anybody out there is going through what my mom went through, I just want you to know that it's not your fault what happened to you, and just get some help. Because there's lots of people who love you and they don't want you to hurt, and they probably don't even know how much you're hurting.
And I don't think anybody could say it better. And it's, the stigma and shame that stops people from getting help is just really terrible. And that's, one of the things we like to stress on this show is that there's nothing that is more dangerous than silence and not talking about and dealing with issues because they don't go away. And, you can take medication and you can, cover it up, and you can take illegal drugs and cover it up. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot deeper work than that.
I carried around that secret of being sexually abused by my father for 31 years. And people would always think, what is wrong with this woman, McKenzie Phillips? She's been given everything. She continuously crashes and burns. And it's just like this ongoing drama of negativity. And once I was able to speak my truth and face that past of mine.
Right, even though it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. It was
people came after you, right?
People are still coming after me.
Your sisters don't talk to you anymore. Your family has basically...
No, my sisters don't talk to me anymore.
That's really hard.
But it's like you look at, if you were able to look in a textbook to see the textbook reaction to a family member revealing incest by a, sort of a pedestalized, if that's a word, person.
We just made it a word.
We made it a word.
McKenzie Phillips made
pedestalized.
Don't you say it, Judas?
It's just so prevalent for people to protect the abuser and shame the survivor. I want it to change. That's why I talk about it.
So, Christy, thank you so much for the call. But listen, go to facebook.com/KLEAN Radio. That's clean with a K. And check in with us.
Okay.
If you, anything you could, private message us, anything we could do to, send you in the right direction of getting help, we will gladly do. So please do that.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Christy.
You know, one of the things I just want to step in here really quickly and say, one of the things that's so interesting about this case with Woody Allen's stepson,
stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter, I'm sorry, is that
Adopted daughter,
yeah.
Adopted stepdaughter, is that correct?
Yeah, I think,
Really?
Well, technically,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know how that really works. But anyway, what's interesting is that there's no, the daughter isn't really famous in her own right, and so the people are going to be like, oh, she just wants to become famous now. But with Mackenzie, you didn't have that issue. You were famous in your own right.
I'll tell you something. I believe Dylan Farrow 100%. And, it's not a resume builder
Right.
to go out there and accuse one of the most famous
And she's
men.
living in Florida under a different name.
I know.
So it's not like she had ever asked really for this. And it all started with her brother doing
Ronan,
that.
yeah.
Right, Roman doing that whole tweet during the
Golden
celebration of the
Globes.
Golden Globes.
Yeah.
So that's when this all started. Wasn't her, and you know what? Even if she wanted to, it's still, that's okay. It still doesn't take away from the abuse.
It does not.
Worst case scenario, she won. Nobody wants fame through sexual abuse.
Absolutely not.
It's,
Absolutely not. And, if you read that open letter, you can find it on the internet.
Yeah.
It's Dylan Farrow's open letter to the New York Times. Her memories are so specific and so horrifying. And they're story after story after story. This poor girl, it just breaks my heart.
And that she's, not in a mental ward and she's actually being able to write coherently.
You
and
bet.
Well, it's obviously taken a while.
Yeah.
So
And
who knows what she's been through to get to that point.
That's exactly right.
Well, it said I read on the internet that she had gotten into cutting and a lot of different self-harm type behaviors.
And hopefully she's going to help a lot of people with this open letter because like you, Mackenzie, you coming out and you talking about this stuff is probably helping a lot of, the countless number of people. So it's like almost for everybody that knocked you, there's 100 that are getting help from you.
That's the way I look at it. What are there, 6 Phillipses who are pissed off at me? And then there are thousands.
It's like a set of screwdrivers.
Exactly. Phillips head. And then there are thousands of people who have benefited from an open dialogue about sexual abuse and incest.
Yeah.
So.
And if you just tuned in, you are listening to KLEAN Radio, so give us a call. The number is 800-222-5222. That's 800-222-5222.
Nice.
Claps, you know what it is?
Judas back in his groove.
I want to blame. It says 888. I do it every week, and I forgot the number. Go figure. It's McKenzie Phillips in the studio. She got me flustered. And all I have in my mind is one day at a time.
This is it.
Yeah. But you're, for the most part, most people that, we weren't a child actor. You were more of a teen actor, teen star.
I did American Graffiti when I was 12. So,
wow. So you're actually one of those that actually came out the other side and survived, and because most don't.
Most of us don't. It's really sad. I mean, a lot of us do, but we have.
We hear about the ones that don't, though.
Right.
Right. Nobody's talking about the kid from A Christmas Story, but he did well.
Well, even this Justin Bieber stuff is just, out of control.
I'm telling you, the more we laugh at people who are having problems, the more we stigmatize.
Yeah.
Getting clean and sober and reaching out for help.
That's a great, that's a great point. Andrew's talked about that all the times. Everybody wants to beat this kid up. How impossible is it going to be when the day he needs help? We've pushed these people so far.
He's got like 4 jurisdictional problems now. He just flies from state to country to state, and cleaning that mess up is not going to be easy.
No.
And
and
my
he's
hope
19.
is that my hope is he gets some help before he kills himself.
And his dad was on the plane with him. That got
come
busted.
on, it's like Lindsay Lohan's parents.
Right.
It's I don't like to talk badly about people, but you look at the history, it's there, and people don't develop these senses of entitlement and or lack of ability to cope with
from
fame
nowhere.
or whatever, from nowhere. It comes from a lack of guidance and a lack of people putting the proper controls on you and really having your best interests at heart.
And so
I look back quite often at my son's life, and I think about when he was 14, I think about what was I doing at 14,
Right.
and then I go, oh my God, I'm breaking the cycle of neglect, abuse, and addiction in my own family.
Yeah.
by having, he's had a very age-appropriate life, and he can look back and go, wow, I had such a blast when I was a kid.
Right.
Not I worked my ass off when I was a kid.
Right.
Or, I was dodging, the law when I was a kid. He's just like a normal guy who loves to throw darts and play the guitar.
Yeah.
Nothing
And
wrong
play
with
that
that.
video game.
Exactly.
But let's go to, I don't have the name in front of me. Let's go to somebody, somewhere. Welcome to Clean Radio.
Am I in the air?
You
Yes,
are
you
in the
are.
air.
Oh, hi. Yeah.
What's your name, by the way? I didn't have it wasn't
Jerry.
showing.
Jerry's my name. Yeah, I commend McKenzie Phillips for sobriety and good work she's doing. I have a story to send to McKenzie Phillips, regular mail. Is that possible?
You can send it to Clean Radio, and we can forward it to her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I could do it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or you could share the story on a national radio show.
Well, I'm the person I may have called a year ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
When I called, I was spiked. I may have called about a year ago. I don't remember.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I take caution now, and the best I can. I err on the side of caution all the time. If you were to offer me a soda, I would say no, thank you, even though you're a good guy.
All right.
All right, man. Well, if you go to cleancenter.com, our address is there. You can call 888-601-6040, which is also on cleancenter.com, and call there and get our mailing address, and we'd be happy to forward anything to Mackenzie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay,
you.
Jerry, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. That was Jerry from somewhere that has a...
It's another.
The last time he called, he was Spike.
He was Spike.
That's what he said. Yeah,
Oh,
last
okay.
time
A
he
year
called.
ago. We'll have to go back and look that one up.
But I hope he sends whatever that is, because it sounds like it's important to Jerry Spike.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's got to be really cool too. It's like you said, you don't talk about all the people. You don't talk about all the people you help. And you do amazing work at PRC.
Yeah.
And you do. You go on these shows when people ask you to go on these shows, and you could be of service as much as you could be of service. And you're helping so many people out there. And again, hopefully one day that'll happen with, Justin Bieber, that one day he'll have that, inciting incident that happens and he'll change. But the thing is, if we treat people so badly, they're not gonna know where to go to change.
And as addicts and alcoholics, we are naturally defiant.
Right.
And so if someone's saying this kid needs to do this and that and the other, he's going to go, to hell with y'all. I got more money than God. I can do whatever I want. And he's surrounded by people who are allowing the cycle to continue. And so, there's going to come a time when his back is up against the wall and he's either going to change or something's going to change for him without him having any control over.
Well,
what that
the one
thing
I never
is.
thought would make it was Robert Downey Jr. And
Oh my
he's such
gosh.
as, I
Yeah.
mean, whoever thought he would have turned his life around?
I find that my industry is far more forgiving to male addicts than they are to female addicts, which is just
Probably true about everything with women.
Well, because there's a famous case of Deborah Winger, right? Deborah Winger,
Yes.
who I don't want to. Deborah Winger, when you're an actress, you're hard to work with.
Right.
That's like they were impossible to work with. But for a guy, it's what guys do. And
right. It's so random.
The double standard.
Yeah.
You're completely right. And we romanticize what men do, and we
shame what women do.
And we shame what women do. And I don't think that's just like that in your industry. I think that's like that in so many places. And women, have a much harder time sometimes in getting help because,
Like Christy's mom. She's the mom.
Yeah.
She has to be strong for the kids. It definitely is a lot of pressure.
And so if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio. That's McKenzie Phillips. Give us a call. The number is 800-222-5222. That's 800-222-5222. Can't believe I'm actually looking at the paper. How bad, Andrew, tomorrow is the work productivity in Denver, Colorado going to be?
I think they should just call it a snow day.
Because, it's the testosterone level is very low tomorrow in Denver, right?
I don't think anything's going to get done in Seattle either.
but at least in Seattle, they're happy.
Yeah, Google is not going to be working tomorrow. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and so we want to congratulate all our fans of the Pacific Northwest, and KVI.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Look at that score.
Yeah.
You know, and the reason I talk about that is actually because I was talking with somebody about this yesterday.
Well,
I
a
used
lot
to
of people get really depressed. Yeah,
I would,
you know, it's like
Yeah.
I mean, there were days after the Giants lose, I don't
Same
watch.
with me for the Lakers.
Yeah.
You know, just the Lakers.
LA is huge into that. Talk about seasonal.
I'm a Saints
Affective
fan, so
disorder.
I just every year I just fall apart.
Well, but here's the thing about you. Here's the thing about being a Saints fan is that you become okay with the lose.
Well, we did, and then we
Right,
won
and then-
once,
right,
and
so
then
now you
all of a
have,
sudden
like,
it was
this-
like this
right.
glimmer of hope.
Right,
that
but
it
at
would
least
continue.
you guys are used to it. People in LA, they don't know what to do with the Lakers being bad because they literally
awful.
people. I mean, they actually had a study on this about how many people in LA, go with the team.
Right.
You know, the team is their identity. You know, the same thing with the Dodgers. That it's actually.
Well, sports like drugs is a form of escapism.
Right.
So
It's bread and
yeah,
circus.
Yeah. So a lot of people, put a lot of the same sort of hopes and wishes and self-identification onto how their team is doing as they do into their drug addiction and how they, feel it. In some ways, it has a lot of the similar rewards. So, it's, I've always said there's a reason the sports section is as big as the news section.
Yeah.
Which I could never understand growing up. I was like, how come half of the
I loved
newspaper
it,
is
yeah.
sports?
But it actually took me a while into sobriety to be able to watch Giant games and not
Get triggered?
and be able to watch it with other people.
Yeah.
I mean,
my friends have tapes of me watching like the Saints in the playoff, and it's actually embarrassing to watch because I'm like, 1 minute I'm like, yes, they're the best team in the world.
And then
Next minute I'm like,
yeah.
can I jump off the balcony?
and you're just like sullen, silent.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
I guess that's why you like the sport. It's the up and down of it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a sports psychologist. I'm not going to get into that, I guess.
And if you just tune in, we're McKenzie Phillips, Andrew Spanswick. Let's go quickly to somebody and somewhere. Sean, is this you?
Yep.
Welcome to Clean Radio. Sean in Vancouver.
Hey, I heard where you said that, women are chastised in Hollywood for, being hard to work with and men aren't.
Yes.
But what about Christian Bale, Russell Crowe,
Yes,
Martin Lawrence?
but look
All
at
of them
their
were
but
chastised.
Sean, look at their careers. Their careers.
It doesn't stop them from getting hired.
Right,
Yeah,
but
right.
Christian Bale isn't the biggest. We're not saying that, what we're saying is they stop working. And
Like, what woman has stopped working because she's hard to work with?
Well-
I mean, Roseanne Barr made millions off of it.
My point
Off of
wasn't
men like that.
Sean, my point wasn't that they were hard to work with. I said that the industry is less forgiving of
Yeah.
female addicts and alcoholics than it is of male addicts and alcoholics.
And I was saying afterwards, what you hear about them, whether it's Scott and Mary, Sean Young, Deborah Winger, you always hear the hard. They're difficult.
Tatum O'Neal, McKenzie Phillips. No one ever said I was difficult to work with.
Right.
That's one thing that was never said about me. They were just like, is she going to show up?
Right.
But also, we got to admit that most of the star power and money and dollars is revolve around the men. So
Absolutely.
they're probably willing to tolerate a lot
They're
more.
willing to tolerate a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. So Sean, yes, you're right.
And that's not to say that men aren't, put through the ringer as well. I mean, Hollywood is run by a bunch of gangsters, so I think everybody knows that at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty common knowledge now.
Yeah.
And Sean, I don't mean to be generalizing. It's not always the case. It's just something you hear quite often is that, they were difficult. And
Okay.
that, and I know, Sean Young, I know her personally. She's an amazing actress.
Girl.
And, amazing actress.
Mm-hmm.
And she had that label put onto her. I mean, it didn't help that she wore the Catwoman costume to an audition. But, there are two sides to every story. And, the two difficult people from the same movie, the male still works. The woman, so that's all I'm trying to say.
All right. Yeah, I guess I'm very unfamiliar with women who have been difficult to work with because I've only heard about men.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, Sean,
okay.
I
Well,
hope
thank
we
you.
could help
Yeah,
you. We
cool,
got a
man.
rush
Thanks for
hour.
calling.
Thank you. Call back anytime. And if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. Mackenzie, am I off by saying that that's sometimes the label that's put on them?
That they're hard, that they're difficult?
Right. That it's the easiest way to push away, saying they're difficult.
Well, now it's easier for people to say, she's an addict.
Right.
And like with Lindsay, poor Lindsay. I mean, I feel bad. I have such compassion for addicts and alcoholics, having to insure herself. The people wouldn't.
Yeah, nobody will bond her.
No one will bond her.
Right.
Well, it's getting better now for her, I imagine.
But that happened to Mickey Rourke for many years.
That's
He
true.
couldn't
He got
get
locked out
insured.
as well.
Let's go to another quick call. Let's get to Leanna from Portland, Oregon. Welcome to Clean Radio, Leanna.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, you know that you gave out the wrong number at first.
Yes, Leanna, I did. Leanna is our Leanna is our pothead from the 80s.
Nice.
Yes, Leanna.
You get
a porn line?
Yes.
Wow.
Great, Judah.
Well,
Good
we
job.
know why it came out of Judah's subconscious.
That's exactly right. I didn't even know those numbers still existed.
Yeah, neither did I,
Apparently they
actually.
do.
Wow.
Leanna, well, did you have fun?
But anyway, getting past that, that guy that actor that just recently died that was 46, they found a needle.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip
That
Seymour
was this
Hoffman.
morning, yeah.
Where was that at?
New York
York
City.
Where?
New York
New York
City.
City.
Greenwich Village.
Oh, because I've never done heroin, wouldn't even think about doing it. I have such but hearing that I'm so abhorred with needles that I can barely drag myself down to the local clinic to get a flu shot.
I hear you, Leanne. Do you got a question for us?
Well, what I was thinking, because I'm in my 50s and I've never done heroin, but I've heard a lot about it. Even back when I was a teenager, I heard horror stories about it, and that's why I never did any of it or used any of it, because I heard all these horror stories. And I had opportunities, but I just like, no, get that crap away from me.
So you're asking
But
if
what I'm
now at this
thinking
stage of your life,
there's
is
a
it...
bad batch going around.
A bad batch. Well, okay,
Bad batch
Leanna.
or a too
Leanna?
potent
Okay,
batch.
thanks, Leanna.
Leanna,
Look,
thank you.
You know, this is true. This is one of the issues that we do have, and just to address Leanna really quickly. You know, one of the problems that we have with heroin is that the potency varies. And we were talking backstage in the green room about how men tend to overdose more than women because of their body size, so they'll shoot up a lot more just to get high. And there are sort of the same ways of using heroin as used to exist in the past. People are more isolated and using more on their own and not around other people, and so people are overdosing and dying in isolation.
Alone.
So, yeah.
Alone. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's really horrible.
It's really, really horrible.
You know, and she just reminded me of a scene. I don't know if you guys ever remember Little Miss Sunshine, but that scene when Alan Arkin, and he's talking about getting kicked out for drugs, and he goes to the kid, "At your age, kid, you're crazy not to."
I didn't see it.
Go watch
Sorry.
Little Miss Sunshine. I don't want to ruin it for you.
I didn't see it either. You just ruined it for me, though.
Okay. If you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio. We're running out of time. The number is 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Let's get to a couple quick calls before we leave. Let's go to Heather from Vermont. As always, welcome back to Clean Radio, Heather.
Thank you, and it's nice having. I'm glad you guys had Mackenzie back. I had called in the last time she had called in and talked about how much I liked her book.
She's here in the studio, so you can watch it on cleanradio.com on the video.
Look how amazing Mackenzie Phillips looks.
You can watch me eat a sandwich while I'm on the radio. I could just realize that. Oh, hello, camera. Did you see me enjoy that sandwich? Yeah.
We're going to do a thing with Mackenzie Phillips and eating disorders on the air next. That's going to be our next show.
That she doesn't have one because she could eat.
On Celebrity Rehab, Mackenzie, I remember you having your issue with your dog.
Oh,
and,
Max.
I'm having issues with my cat. He just barely had a feeding tube put in, and then he's like skinny and frail, and I've been having to feed him for the couple of days.
Yeah, you have to. My vet said to me, she said, it's time. And Max had diabetes and pancreatitis, and I was giving him insulin twice a day.
Yeah.
And, I happened to be in the middle of filming a reality show when it happened.
Right.
And
but
it was very hard.
Because there are babies,
But
I mean,
your vet will tell you when it's time.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, the odds are, my cat is supposed to be fine. He's only 7, and there's like a 90%. He just has fatty liver disease, and and it's just so he's miserable. But Judah and Andrew, the other excitement is while I'm going through all this stress with my cat, the night before I drove to Philadelphia to get him, my former husband told me that he's in a romantic relationship and living with the person.
Oh, that's great. You have closure.
Yeah.
Now he's somebody else's problem.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that
at the same point, I understand that that can feel rejecting. And so it's important to remember why you're not with them.
Yeah. And it's my biggest fear right now too, Heather. I think what you're going through and thinking that it's You know, Facebook and all this stuff could cause so much emotional pain. It's created stalkers out of everybody in America.
I mean,
because
talk about triggering yourself. Just get on Facebook and start looking up your exes.
And it's really, it's like, you know, they used to joke in the 12-step meetings that the phone was the pain box. You know,
and now it's the computer.
Now it's the computer and it's so torturing. You know, Andrew, we've all gone through it, you know, and you want to look and you want to look and you want to continue.
And you go through their photos.
Right, and the comments and all of these different things. And, you know, I actually like that we're talking about this because I know a lot of people do this and they feel isolated too, and they feel like they're crazy. And you know what? We're all in the same boat. We all do it.
Yep.
And Heather, you're not alone. And I think it took so much courage for you to actually say on the air that he's with somebody else.
Yeah, and I feel a little bit better. It was just that evening and the next day was awful. But then I actually got to talk to him because I'm like, wait a minute. He asked me for a divorce on the 9th, but then of November, but then, you know, the week after Thanksgiving is when she moved in with him. But I talked with him, and it's more of a financial thing. You know, that they're helping each other out financially.
Yeah, you know, the thing is that, you know, people, when you think about being in a relationship and you hear about other people moving on, remember what you're trying to hold on to are the good parts that don't exist anymore or existed in the past, and those parts aren't going to come back. You know, relationships have a progression, and you've moved through that. And so, you know, if he's going to, maybe he'll be happy some other way, you know, well, let's hope maybe he does. But it's more important that you think about yourself and focus on the fact that that's the past. And, you know, you need to move on yourself.
And like I said, there's a certain gentleman that I've been flirting with.
Heather, I'll tell you what, Heather, we're running out of time.
All right.
And I hate to
back
cut
next
people
week,
off.
and you know what? This week might be really difficult. It might be. Give us a call back next week. Check in and tell us how it's going.
All right, thank you.
As always, Heather, we'll talk to
All
you
right,
later.
Heather, take care.
You know what? I got 15 seconds. I got to take Todd.
Todd's,
how's
in the
the
hospital.
I know, Todd, you got 15 seconds.
Hi, everybody. I wrote you a new hook.
You don't have it tonight, though, Todd? Just tell us you're okay for tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to make it.
Okay, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, we will talk to you later. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio. I want to thank McKenzie Phillips so much for coming in tonight, McKenzie.
Thank you, guys.
Again,
I love coming here.
You're always welcome back.
Thank you.
And one day at a time, it'll all be okay.
I will.
Andrew, have a safe travels this week. McKenzie, what do you got? Where, you know, you do work at...
I work at Pasadena Recovery Center.
And helping people.
And I've got a couple little movies coming out, and I'm working on another one this month. It's fun. Life
and you
is
got
good.
fan mail coming through Clean.
Yes.
Exactly.
And we will have it inspected before we open it.
Thank you.
So I'd like to thank everybody out there listening to Clean Radio. Go to cleanradio.com/Facebook. I want to thank Rand. I want to thank our fans. I want to thank Steve, Patrick, Tony, Brian, everybody that helps put the show together. The discussion continues at cleanradio.com.
Are you or someone you care about addicted to drugs or alcohol? Addiction ruins lives and destroys families. Bring an end to the pain and suffering by calling KLEAN Treatment Centers. KLEAN has helped people from around the world break free by not only treating the addiction, but the underlying causes and providing vital aftercare so people can get clean and stay clean with no gimmicks and no false promises. If you need immediate assistance or just have questions, call KLEAN Treatment Centers for guidance. A much better life awaits.